When the bells of St. Peter's Basilica tolled on April 21st, 2025, the hearts of 1.4 billion Catholics turned toward the Vatican. Pope Francis, the Pope of Mercy and Simplicity, had been called home to God. He once said, "I want a poor church for the poor," words that still echo as a reminder of the immense responsibility his successor will bear. Now, the world is asking, who will be the next to sit on the throne of St. Peter? In the Sistine Chapel, 120 cardinals under 80 will soon gather, lock the doors, and begin an ancient ritual to choose the new leader of the Catholic Church. Among them, 8 men stand out as the most likely candidates, each carrying a unique story, vision, and path for the Church. Today, we'll meet the first 4 cardinals, numbered 1 through 4, to explore why they're capturing the world's attention. The first cardinal is Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines. At 67, Tagle is known as Chito back home, a nickname that reflects his warmth and approachability. With a radiant smile and modern outlook, he's often called the Francis of Asia. As head of the dicastery for evangelization, a powerful role directly under the Pope, Tagle wields significant influence in the Vatican. Born to a Filipino family with a Chinese grandmother, he bridges East and West. He studied in the United States for 7 years, gaining deep insight into Western culture, yet remains rooted in Asia, where Catholicism is growing rapidly. Tagle connects with young people through social media and has even praised universal values in pop culture. His reformist spirit aligns closely with Pope Francis's vision, making him a favorite for those who want continuity. But his youth is a double-edged sword. Some cardinals worry that at 67, Tagle could lead for decades, much like Pope John Paul II, which not all favor. Additionally, his reassignment from Caritas International in 2022 over concerns about weak management could cast a shadow on his record. Can Tagle's dynamism and global perspective make him the first Asian pope in history? The second cardinal is Robert Sarah from Guinea. At 79, Sarah is a towering figure among conservatives, a fierce defender of traditional Catholic values. Born in a small village in Guinea, he faced a dictatorial regime from a young age, becoming an archbishop at 34 and never shying away from challenging power. Elevated to cardinal by Pope Benedict XVI in 2010, he once led the dicastery for divine worship and the discipline of the sacraments. Sarah staunchly upholds doctrines like priestly celibacy and traditional marriage, once comparing modern Western ideologies to Nazism, a bold stance that endeared him to conservatives. With Africa emerging as a vibrant center of Catholicism, Sarah symbolizes the continent's rising influence. But his age is a significant hurdle. At 79, he's nearing the age limit for voting in the conclave, and his public disagreements with Pope Francis, particularly over issues like washing a Muslim woman's feet, may alienate reform-minded cardinals. Will Sarah's unwavering conviction rally enough support to lead the Church back to its roots? The third cardinal is Mario Grech from Malta. At 68, Grech is one of the staunchest supporters of Pope Francis's vision, particularly his emphasis on synodality, listening to the voices of everyday Catholics. Named a cardinal in 2020, he serves as General Secretary of the Synod of Bishops, giving him a global network of influence. Grech brings a fresh, reformist energy, backed by his academic background as a canon lawyer. His commitment to dialogue and inclusion makes him a strong candidate for those who want to deepen Francis's reforms. However, Malta, with a population of just over 500,000, may be seen as too small to produce a pope, and Grech lacks experience managing large dioceses, a quality cardinals often value. Before Francis's papacy, Grech leaned conservative, but he's since embraced a progressive stance, which could spark debate among voters. Can Grech's youthful vigor and loyalty to Francis's vision overcome doubts about his experience and Malta's modest stature, or will his relative obscurity hinder his chances? The fourth cardinal is Peter Erdo from Hungary. At 72, Erdo is one of Europe's most prominent cardinals, having served as president of the Council of European Bishops' Conferences. Named a cardinal in 2003, he blends conservative theology with a pragmatic openness, appealing to both traditionalists and moderates. Hailing from Eastern Europe, Erdo evokes the legacy of Pope John Paul II, carrying memories of socialism and ties to Russian culture. Fluent in multiple languages, including Italian, German, French, Spanish, and Russian, he's well equipped to build bridges with Orthodox churches. His extensive leadership experience makes him a steady hand for a divided church. But as the church shifts its focus to Africa and Asia, where faith is booming, Erdo's European roots could be a disadvantage. Additionally, his reserved demeanor lacks the charisma some cardinals seek in a pope. Will Erdo's experience and balanced approach make him a safe choice for a church seeking stability? Or will his lack of flair and regional origin dim his prospects? These four cardinals, Tagle, Sarah, Grech, and Erdo, represent a spectrum of possibilities. Reform versus tradition, global outreach versus rootedness, youth versus experience. Their stories set the stage for a historic conclave, where the Church's future will be shaped by the votes cast beneath Michelangelo's frescoes. But four more cardinals, numbered 5 through 8, are also in the spotlight, each with their own strengths and challenges. Their voices, too, will echo in the Sistine Chapel, carrying the hopes of billions. Let's continue this journey to meet them and explore what they could bring to the papacy, as the world awaits the white smoke that will signal a new era. As the doors of the Sistine Chapel close, the cardinals prepare to cast their secret ballots, each vote a prayer for the future of the Catholic Church. We've met the first four contenders: Luis Antonio Tagle, the reformist Francis of Asia; Robert Sarah, Guinea's conservative stalwart; Mario Grech, Malta's synodal champion; and Peter Erdo, Hungary's balanced leader. They embody the Church's diversity, from Asia's rising star to Europe's ancient roots and Africa's vibrant faith. But the story of the 8 leading candidates is far from over. Today, we'll explore the final 4 cardinals, numbered 5 through 8, to uncover their stories, their visions, and the challenges they face in this historic conclave. Each of these men is not just a leader, but a symbol of the hope and responsibility that will shape the Church's path forward. The 5th cardinal is Matteo Zupi from Italy. At 69, Zupi is president of the Italian Bishops' Conference, a powerful role in a country that accounts for 20% of the voting cardinals. Elevated to cardinal in 2019, he's closely tied to the Sant'Egidio community, renowned for its work with the poor and peace-building. Zupi served as Pope Francis's envoy in Ukraine, meeting both President Zelensky and Patriarch Kirill of the Russian Orthodox Church, showcasing his diplomatic skill. He's celebrated masses for both conservatives and progressives, demonstrating rare flexibility. With Italy's strong influence in the conclave, Zupi could emerge as a frontrunner if the Italian cardinals unite. But his resume is relatively thin compared to his peers, and some cardinals may question whether he has the experience to lead the global church. His reserved speaking style also lacks the charisma that often sways voters. Can Zupi's commitment to peace and his Italian roots propel him to the papacy? The 6th cardinal is Pietro Parolin, also from Italy. At 70, Parolin is the Vatican's Secretary of State, effectively the Holy See's Prime Minister and the second most powerful figure in the Church. Named a cardinal in 2014, he brings over 30 years of diplomatic experience, from negotiating with China to brokering talks between Cuba and the United States. Parolin served as nuncio in Venezuela during Hugo Chávez's regime and helped strengthen ties with Vietnam, proving his ability to navigate complex issues. Blending tradition with modernity, he benefits from historical precedent. Several secretaries of state have become popes. But Parolin faces challenges. His limited pastoral experience with everyday Catholics is a drawback, and his approach to China, particularly the Vatican's agreement on bishop appointments, has drawn criticism from conservative cardinals like Joseph Zen. He was also linked, though not charged, in a London real estate deal that cost the Vatican millions. Will Parolin's diplomatic prowess and influence outweigh these controversies? The seventh cardinal is Peter Turkson from Ghana. At 76, Turkson has a unique background. His mother was Protestant, his father Catholic, and his uncle Muslim. Named a cardinal in 2003, he led the dicastery for promoting integral human development and was considered a contender in the 2005 and 2013 conclaves. Turkson's interfaith roots make him ideal for fostering dialogue in a world rife with religious conflict. As Ghana's first cardinal, he represents Africa's booming Catholic population. He's spoken at global forums like Davos, addressing climate change and social justice. But his conservative stance on issues like same-sex marriage could divide voters, and his 2021 resignation from his Vatican post amid reported tensions with another cardinal raised questions. Despite his prominence, Turkson has never garnered strong support in past conclaves. Can his interfaith vision and African roots spark a breakthrough? The eighth cardinal is Kristoff Shonborn from Austria. At 80, Shonborn is a renowned theologian with a balanced outlook. Named a cardinal in 1998, he's authored major theological works, serving as a bridge between tradition and reform. Shonborn praised transgender singer Conchita Wurst and criticized the Vatican's ban on blessing same-sex unions, showing remarkable openness. A contender in the 2005 and 2013 conclaves, he commands significant respect among cardinals. But his age is an insurmountable barrier. At 80, Shonborn is ineligible to vote in the conclave, making his election highly unlikely. Still, his influence could shape younger cardinals' votes. Will Shonborn's theological legacy inspire an unexpected choice? These four cardinals, Zupi, Parolin, Turkson, and Shonborn, complete the list of 8 contenders. From diplomacy to theology, they offer diverse perspectives for a church at a crossroads. As the conclave begins, the question isn't just who will be chosen, but where the church will go. Let's move to the final part to reflect on what lies ahead when the white smoke rises. As the Sistine Chapel's doors remain sealed, the cardinals cast their secret ballots, each vote a whispered prayer for the Catholic Church's future. The 8 men we've explored, from Luis Antonio Tagle, the vibrant reformer from the Philippines, to Kristoff Shonborn, Austria's seasoned theologian, are more than candidates. They're symbols of hope, faith, and the weighty responsibility of leading 1.4 billion Catholics. Their stories reflect courage, openness, and the struggles of a church navigating a divided world. But when white smoke finally rises from the Vatican's chimney, only one will emerge as Pope. Will it be a reformer like Tagle, a traditionalist like Sarah, or a diplomat like Parolin? More crucially, how will the new Pope guide the Church through the challenges of 2025? Let's revisit these 8 cardinals and reflect on what their potential leadership could mean. The first cardinal, Luis Antonio Tagle, 67, brings a reformist fire from the Philippines. His warmth and modernity make him a bridge between East and West, embodying a global church. But his youth and past management concerns could deter some voters. The second cardinal, Robert Sarah, 79, is Guinea's conservative champion, fiercely defending traditional values. Yet his age and rigid stance risk alienating reformers. The third cardinal, Mario Grech, 68, carries Pope Francis's synodal torch from Malta. But his small nation's stature and limited pastoral experience are hurdles. The fourth cardinal, Pater Erdo, 72, offers a balanced approach from Hungary, but his European roots and reserved style may not resonate in a globalizing church. The fifth cardinal, Matteo Zupi, 69, is Italy's peace-focused reformer, bolstered by Italy's 20% share of voting cardinals. His thin resume and lack of charisma, however, could weaken his chances. The sixth cardinal, Pietro Parolin, 70, is Italy's diplomatic powerhouse with unmatched global experience, but his sparse pastoral background and controversies over China policy pose challenges. The seventh cardinal, Peter Turkson, 76, represents Africa's rise and interfaith dialogue from Ghana, but his conservatism and past conclave struggles dim his prospects. The eighth cardinal, Kristoff Shonborn, 80, is Austria's open-minded theologian, respected but sidelined by age, though his influence may sway others. Each cardinal offers a vision for 2025's challenges: secularization in Europe, ethical debates over same-sex marriage and women's roles, tensions with powers like China, and the need for interfaith dialogue. With nearly 80% of voting cardinals appointed by Pope Francis, his reformist legacy may favor candidates like Tagle or Grech. Yet, if divisions deepen, a compromise figure like Parolin or Zupi could emerge. A conservative surge might lift Sarah or Erdo, prioritizing tradition. A pope from the global south, like Tagle or Turkson, would signal the Church's shift toward Africa and Asia, where faith is thriving. An Italian pope, like Zupi or Parolin, could ensure stability, leveraging Italy's strong conclave presence. But Vatican history teaches us that predicting a pope is nearly impossible. The adage, "He who enters the conclave as pope leaves as a cardinal," reminds us that favorites often falter. Nationality, ideology, and personal ties among cardinals will shape the outcome. Pope Francis left a church more open, but also wounded by internal debates. His successor must heal these rifts while igniting a new flame of faith. The new pope will need not just conviction, but wisdom to navigate a world of conflict and change, from climate crises to religious tensions.